Well, hello, thanks for watching the video for question 3 of Interim Assessment 1 for Intermediate Math A. I'm going to go ahead and read the situation to you and then talk about how we're going to solve this. It says, Kyle and John are twins who decided to plan an imaginary trip. On the trip, Kyle and John imagined trying some extreme sports. Kyle wanted to imagine cliff jumping. John dreamed about trying skydiving, and they both wanted to include snorkeling. Being twins, they thought they would have more fun planning all three imaginary activities together. Their imaginary trip began with the twins setting out to cliff jump. There were two different spots to attempt to jump. Kyle took the spot 20 feet above the water. John jumped from the lower elevation at 15 feet above water. Going to highlight some of these things right here as I'm reading so I don't lose track of them. So question A says, Kyle jumped from his starting point and went 15 feet below the surface of the water. Represent the starting point and ending point as integers. What is the total distance he traveled? Explain how you got your answer. So you could have done that explanation in words or in numbers. Either one worked for me. So I've drawn a number line over here, and I'm going to draw the water at 0. So here's our number line, and I've got a vertical number line here that I've drawn in, and I've put in 5-point increments here. And some of you drew a horizontal number line, and that works great, and some people didn't even draw a number line for this question. It didn't ask you to. But I just wanted to add the visual. Up here, we have where Kyle was standing on his cliff. There's Kyle, and here's his cliff. And the question tells us that he jumped from 20 feet, went below the water, down to 15 feet. So let me grab a different color here and just kind of show Kyle jumped from here and went all the way down to here. And it's asking us what is the total distance that he traveled right there. So when we're talking about that total distance, this goes to our distance equations lesson that we did. And it's kind of working off the idea of absolute value. It was Unit 2, Lesson 9. And so we can see that he did 20 feet when he was above water, and then he was going so fast that he traveled another 15 feet when he was below water. So if we add that 20 feet that he was above water, plus the 15 more feet that he traveled below water, we got 35 feet total that Kyle traveled. This is your answer right here. All right, hopefully the visual there helps a little. Let's go try the same visual with John. Same context up here. Part B says, John jumped and went 10 feet below the surface of the water. Represent the starting point and ending point as integers. What is the total distance he traveled? And explain your answer. So again, I'm going to draw John in this time, and John, it says, started at 15 feet. He's not quite as brave, and that's all right, huh? And he comes down and he jumps on this cliff, and I'm going to draw that water in again. Here's the water at the 0, but when he jumped, he kept going below water, but not quite as far, because he didn't have quite as much momentum. So it says that he jumped out at 15 and he went to 10 feet below. So what is the distance that we have there? Well, it's 15 above and 10 below. So if we have that 15 and that 10, he traveled a total of 25 feet. 15 above, 10 below. Now some of you were confused with those positive and negative numbers, but remember when we learned about total distance, we also learned about absolute value. So that's why we didn't have to minus and worry about positives and negatives in this particular question, because they're talking about distance traveled. So that was Unit 2, Lesson 9. Let's go to Part C of this question. How much farther did Kyle travel than John? Use a number line to show how you got your answer. I'm going to draw in a horizontal number line for this one. And because you guys would probably have drawn in your own number line. And we have got 0, and these are our positives, these are our negatives. Now we learned that John traveled a total distance of 25 feet, right? That's what we wrote on question B. And Kyle, I kind of got my numbers on the wrong side here. Let's see if I can move those just to make them a little bit clearer. We'll put the name up there. We'll put the number down here so it's more like a number line. Although we could probably get away with it either way. I'm going to move the numbers down there. All right, so the question's asking us how much farther did Kyle jump than John? So that distance again between these two on a number line. And so here's a number line where it's that distance. And what is the difference between 25 and 35? It's 10. So I tried to look at your drawing and look for that 10, look for your explanation. Some of you drew the drawing but never indicated the 10, and so I gave you 1 out of 2 points, but we needed to go the step further and make sure you actually answered the question. So the answer would be 10 feet, right? That's how much farther Kyle was ever able to travel. He started 5 feet higher above water and went 5 feet deeper below water, which was a total of 10 feet. And then the number line was also a point that I was looking for on that question. Okay, last part, Part D. While at the cliff, the twins decided to compete to see who could travel the most distance from the cliff to the water when they jump. So it's just going to the water here. They're not talking about underwater. I imagine that would be kind of difficult to measure how far they went underwater, but it's all imaginary, so who knows. So it goes on to say, John jumped at 3 different places above the water from a height of 15, 16, and 18. Kyle's first 2 jumps started at 20 and 14 above the water. From what height will Kyle's 3rd jump have to be in order to tie John? So most everybody that did this question got it right. For John, we needed to add together his jumps for his total distance above water that he jumped. And when we added those up together, we have a 5 plus 6 is 11, plus 8 is 9. Carry that 1. 49 was John. And so then Kyle took 2 jumps and thought, how much more do I have to do in order to tie my twin brother? So he did 20 and 14, and that gives us 34. And so how much more will he have to jump? And so I was just looking at your work on this one, trying to see how you figured it out. Nobody just put the answer down, which was excellent to see you showing me your math. Either whether you wanted to do numbers or write out words, that was fine. But Kyle would have to jump 15 feet more in order to tie his brother. So 15 feet would have been the answer. And the explanation, again, could have just been showing your math. If you just would have wrote 15 up here, you wouldn't have got full credit. But nobody did that, so I'm really proud of you. All right, our recording password for this video is Blueberry. And if you send that through Kmail, I'll give you 5 points for watching the video and seeing how you were supposed to solve question 3. Thanks so much.